Hello, DmAcc Hiring Committee. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Bill Hartman. I live in St. Louis. I grew up in Chicago. I'm an ardent White Sox fan, I admit to it. I'm a St. Louis Blues hockey fan, and I'm an accomplished bubble hockey player. I'm ranked 26th in the country right now. I play in national tournaments. I play in local tournaments and a weekly league here in St. Louis. I would love to teach ethics at DmAcc, and I think I have a very good background for it. I've taught business ethics, medical ethics, general philosophical ethics. I developed a criminal justice ethics course. I've published in ethics journals on entrapment. I could bring this all together to the ethics course at DmAcc and the Intro to Philosophy class. Why DmAcc? It's a community college. My brothers graduated from community colleges. My sister graduated. They all went on to get master's degrees. One in nursing, one in engineering, and one in economics. The one in economics taught for a while, adjunct at a community college. My dad was a high school history teacher. He taught for decades at a community college. I've taught full-time and part-time in the community college for decades. I know the community college is the last bastion, could be the last bastion for upper social mobility in the United States. I had a good experience at DmAcc last semester. I had two sections, Intro to Philosophy and Intro to Ethics. One of the sections had 17 dual enrolled students in the class. No one told me about this, and I freaked out initially. How on earth am I going to teach 17 high schoolers? I have no, there's a few dual enrolled students in my classes in St. Louis, but not 17 in one section. What am I going to do? I freaked out. I have no idea what to do here. Well, I didn't have much to do in the sense that their academics were fine for the most part. It's getting them to hand things in on time, not to freak out and use AI. How do I know you used AI? Well, one of them had Foucault and Wittgenstein in a discussion post. Let's redo that, right? For me, the high schoolers are a matter of time management as far as due dates and getting them to spend a little more time with the reading. Otherwise, they're a hoot, and I look forward to teaching them at DmAcc. A little about my philosophy of teaching. I like to keep my ideologies out of the class. I find that if I tell the students where I stand on euthanasia, abortion, God's existence, or in our instance, prostitution, they sometimes want to conform with the instructor or they want to be contrarian with the instructor. I don't want that. I don't want to debate my students in any way. What I want them to do is have the skills to develop a more ethical, sound worldview. For instance, students often come in with a view in class and leave with the same view on ethics. I've had, for instance, libertarian students. I hate libertarianism. I would never say it like that to a student. The student most likely won't change their mind, but they should leave my class being a better libertarian. What do you mean? Well, imagine a student who could express their view without emotion or less emotion and less social media type talk, that they can present their position premise by premise, know that there's flaws with their position, be able to paraphrase their opponent's views in a similar non-social media sort of way, and they'll know the opponents have problems with their positions too. What is fantastic about this is a student might leave my class sounding like a college student, and I think that's what we all aim for. I want them to be intelligent, more intelligent when they leave the class. Upcoming is a classroom presentation on Wednesday. And I believe the committee's going to be, members of you are going to be mock students. And I'm going to approach this presentation like I would any class where I present a new topic. I'm going to review some ethical theories. Kant, O'Neill, act and rule, utility. The students just sat down, right? I want them to think about what we studied in the past before we do anything else. Then I want to present them with a very simple scenario. The scenario will be this: an autonomous man or woman sells sexual favors to an autonomous client. And I'll survey the class. What would Kant say to this? Would Kant be in favor of this, true or false? Why or why not? Would O'Neill, be a different deontologist, be in favor of this? Why or why not? Act and rule utilitarians. What would their reply be here? True or false? Why or why not? I want to get the ball rolling with the students on this topic. Now, in a perfect world, which this isn't because it's a 15-minute presentation, in a normal class setting, I would bring in a guest speaker, probably from sociology, from DmAcc, or a colleague of mine at St. Louis Community College who's an expert on sex trafficking, Andrea Nichols, who's published several books, articles. She's even spoken before Congress. And I would have Andrea point out to the students with her expertise that, or a sociologist at DmAcc, the difference between the terms prostitution, sex worker, what is sex trafficking, what does autonomy have to do with this, or degrees of autonomy, which gets us into soft determinism. I would have Andrea speak for a while, field some student questions, and then hopefully, time permitting, in a real-time class, we could bring it all together with the previous materials that we discussed in the class, ideally. And if there were time left over, which I doubt, I would prepare students for the next readings in the Kant anthology, Exploring Ethics. One reason I would bring an expert in like this is that the Kant anthology is excellent, except for the section on prostitution, seems outdated. As far as I can tell, they don't mention the term sex worker, and they need to be bolstered. But the discussion of the ethical theories, having an expert come in and talk about it, would give the students the ammunition needed to criticize the upcoming articles, or at least discuss them in depth. And that's what I hope for, and I hope to present part of this to you Wednesday, you, the committee, my mock students. I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you for this opportunity.